Let's get the report card. Blaine Pie, top performers from Georgia. That last one sounds like a tall task for Caleb Calhoun, so we'll see what he was able to do there. Blaine Pie. Tennessee loses to Georgia. How do you divvy up the Blaine Pie, Caleb Calhoun? I know that you got quarterbacks at a D-, running backs a B-, which...
Wait, are you at the blame pie or the report card? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, report card. Report card, you've got quarterbacks at a D-, running backs at a B-, wide receiver D+, tight end C, offensive line D. So take a look at the offense for me there, and what do you think happened? What issues do you have with the way those guys play?
Well, so the receivers, I think Joe Milton didn't play well. That's why I gave him a D-. He missed there were at least 3 easy touchdown passes that he missed. It was like Joe Milton from the Bowling Green game 2 years ago. I think, so I got no defense of him. Didn't get help from the receivers, though. Ramel Keaton had an easy drop. Squirrel White had a really, really bad drop at one point. Squirrel White also got blown up on a block on a screen, and then he failed to convert a first down in open space. So as bad as Joe Milton played, and he played bad, he did not get help from his receivers. The offensive line gets a D, but there's a caveat. They were starting 2 backups at tackle. I mean, and then Javonte Spraggins went down in the game. And even Dane Davis, their backup left tackle, went down. So we're talking, this is a makeshift offensive line right now. So they get a D, but again, I'm grading people how they played. It's not fair to them, but you have to grade them how they played, the ones who were in the game, even if they shouldn't have been in the game.
Well, and remember, too, makeshift offensive line, that used to be back in the Philip Fulmer days, you'd pull a 4-star guy that was on the bench that wasn't quite ready. Tennessee doesn't have that depth now. So when you say makeshift offensive line with this roster, you got an issue, especially because some guys haven't continued to develop. Addison Nichols.
Also Jackson Lampley, too, by the way, who got in the game and was horrible. I mean,
that's fair. He, to me, is an overachiever, though. So I'm not. Addison Nichols needs to be a player next year. You had a wide receiver D+, tight end C. Then offensive line D. I get that. You could put incomplete if you wanted to on that, Caleb, because of the injuries there. Then on the defensive side, B+, A-, D+ for tackles, D- for
no. B+ for tackles, A- for defensive ends.
A- for defensive ends. Sorry. Linebacker C-, secondary an F. I can't argue with that. Kicking game a D+. Let's face it, secondary an F without Kamal Hadden, they're just not good. And Carson Beck went from that guy that's filling in for Stetson Bennett to a legit 2024 Heisman candidate. Don't be surprised if he's number 1 on the list. And that guy threw some scary balls. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you are going to face a Georgia quarterback for the next couple of years, unless he goes pro early, that is very good. And I'm talking better than Aaron Murray good. I'm talking about as good as Matthew Stafford, Quincy Carter, no comparison. I'm just naming them off left and right. This guy has great ball placement. And he put it on the back shoulder a couple of times. I was very, very impressed with him as a thrower. It's the first time I got to sit down and watch him the whole time. So Tennessee's going to have to be able to score some points to keep up with this Georgia offense into the future.
Yes, I agree. And I will get to naming some names in the secondary in a second. I'll stay off on that for right now. The secondary as a whole unit, though, again, decimated by injuries. And by having so many injuries, they're going to get enough naturally. I want to give a shout out because people are going to question how defensive tackles and defensive ends got a B+ and A-. Guys, Tennessee defended the run well on Saturday. You can't really take away what they did against the run. Norman-Lott, Dave, he played an amazing game. Norman-Lott did. And
second straight week, by the way.
Yeah, second straight week. You're right. And I thought Amari Thomas played fine. Elijah Simmons is finally turning into the player you said he should be, like 2.5 years late, but it's happening. And the defensive ends, they stayed home. James Pierce, and particularly Tyler Barron. Tyler Barron did you really saw where the experience set in for Tyler Barron because he never over-pursued on plays. It's not the front four's fault what happened in this game. They did everything you're supposed to do in a game. And I think they deserve, this is 2 weeks in a row, by the way, that the front four as a whole played very well, just didn't have help on the back end, which we'll get to. But yeah, linebacker C-. Once again, weak side linebacker fine. Middle linebacker was an absolute atrocity. And the secondary was just, an F. And the kicking game is a D+ because Jackson Ross had probably his worst game of the year, and Charles Campbell missed a field goal, 55-yard field goal that Josh Heupel shouldn't have even tried. I don't know what he was doing at that point. It was like he was trying to like just cut the score a little bit, but still, it was a mess.
Yeah, that was strange. And somebody else told me within the program that Heupel really likes stats and numbers, which would include the final score. And I want you to do me a favor. Next time Tennessee goes into the half and they make a play, either try to watch him on the sideline, even if it's not a touchdown, but it's a 30, 40-yard play. He gets excited and is excited for the halftime interview. It's like that 50 yards means something to him. And when somebody told me that, I totally believed it because the sports information department, you follow them, which is basically the way you get your PR information out. What did they shoot out all last year? It was the most obscure stat. Tennessee with most 50-yard receptions since 1978 on a sunny day in September. You know, there were just all these weird, how the offense was doing and how it compared to the past. Do you remember all those that we used to get?
I do. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, they were very specific. Like, I got to.
It's like when you used to play a video game, by the way. Remember when you played a video game and you were up like by 30 and you're like, yeah, I got to get this running back 100 yards in the game just for fun.
Yeah, exactly. No, completely remember that. Or just run up the score because I was a bad sport. Report card and more brought to you by Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com. 40 years of experience right there in East Tennessee. Best prices, best service in the biz. The Blame Pie, which actually has become one of my favorite segments of the week. By the way, as for the week, we will have tomorrow John Adams on, Jimmy Hyams on Wednesday. Thanksgiving will take the day off, and Friday as well. So we want to take a second here to thank you and the support that this community has grown, and telling other people. We greatly appreciate it. So hit the like and the subscribe button. So the Blame Pie, part of the reason I like it is because we disagree on it so much, Caleb. So shoot it out there. Blame Pie me. Pie in the face.
So this may be unfair, but Andre Turrentine leads the day with 25%. And here's the thing. Remember when Andre Turrentine and Wesley Walker were both transfers in 2022 to shore up the secondary, and Turrentine was the highly touted young guy who had the highest potential? Well, he filled in for Wesley Walker in this game. Very clear who the better free safety was. By the way, Turrentine didn't get in the game until Jordan Thomas got hurt, filling in for Wesley Walker. Sometimes you have a waste of a transfer and a scholarship. Andre Turrentine is one of them. He can't play. I'm sorry, David. Is it fair to say that?
I'm not completely out on him because he's played so little, but that would illustrate your argument that he can't play if he can't get on the field. And then when he played, he didn't play well. So if I had to bet a mortgage payment, I'm with you. I would like to see the kid develop a little bit more because, correct me if I'm wrong, but he has 3 years of eligibility left. Didn't he transfer after his freshman year at Ohio State?
But it was a red shirt. But he's got 2 years. He's got 2 years after this.
That's troublesome. So. Okay, so you're halfway through.
He's been playing college football for 3 years, and he looked like that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not good. I'll take back what I said. Joe Milton III, 20%. I would look at him way different if he was a sophomore. Joe Milton III, 20% blame game. Okay.
The only reason it's not higher is because so many people played bad and deserve blame for this.
Okay. But let me ask you a mean question. What percentage of blame pie does Joe Milton get for the season? And probably 8-4.
I mean, I think Joe Milton gets up to 30%, but another 30% is just injuries. I think if Tennessee's fully healthy, they at least beat Florida. I think that, so we're talking 9-3, but maybe 30 to 40% with Joe Milton. I can't put it all on him. Tennessee had issues at receiver this year. The whole passing game. Joe Milton was a downgrade, but you lost Jalen Hyatt. Brew McCoy went down, who was your receiver to dictate coverage. Dante Thornton went down just as he was emerging. That unit together, plus the O-line injuries, I think takes up about 80%. But I can't put Joe Milton alone.
If I take injuries out of it, which everybody deals with injuries, and we can go back and forth on that, it's 80% to me. I think that the offense was hamstrung from the get.
I can see that.
Injuries out. Now, if you want to say injuries, I'm more like 50 or 60. 30% injuries, 10% everybody else. That's off the top of my head. I might rethink that. As a matter of fact, I might go back and write some of that today. Offensive tackles, 15%, cornerbacks, 10%, Elijah Herring, 10%, Squirrel White, 5%. I'm on the Elijah Herring.
And Will Brooks, 15%, by the way, a walk-on, but he's 15%.
Yeah, I'm at the point where Elijah Herring, I'm seriously considering printing up T-shirts that say like a big D and a big E and Elijah, because he needs to be playing defensive end. Linebacker's not a spot. It's the end of that discussion. If Arian Carter's healthy next year, they pick up another linebacker. They've got the Tellender kid. I could go on and on and on. Pilley's done, unfortunately. Aaron Beasley should be back. Herring should never see the field as a linebacker again, should be a defensive end. I feel very strongly about that. And you know what I do? There you are. I'm not knocking the kid. He can play defensive end. He can't play in space. He can't flip his hips and run. Is a physical element. Just like I can't go outside and run a 4.4 40. I can try as hard as I want to, Caleb, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Elijah Herring is not an outside linebacker. They finally pulled him in the second half and put Tellender in. Look, that Keenan Pili injury was another one that we just don't realize how devastating that was, because Tennessee just doesn't have the depth at middle linebacker that they need yet. So that was
and I think Herring, like spark-wise, his first step could be a really good defensive end. I think we could be having a discussion where he's one of the better defensive ends they have. All right. So our Torchbearer Awards, Chaz Nimrod, Omar Norman-Lott, Tyler Barron, Aaron Beasley, and Jalen Wright, number 1. It's tough to find a Torchbearer, buddy. Good.
Jalen Wright did have a 75-yard touchdown run. Give him some credit. Omar Norman-Lott and Tyler Barron actually played incredibly well. If you look, I told you about the front four. They all played well. Give them some shout outs. Aaron Beasley made a lot of plays on the back, attacking the run game. The weak side linebacker spot was fine. And Chaz Nimrod had 3 catches on that field goal drive, and he should have had a touchdown, but he was held, and they decided to not call holding because SEC officials may be working for Greg Sankey. I'm kidding.